Hey, it's Meredith Marsh here, and in this video, I'm gonna give you my top 5 tips for how to grow your online side hustle after work. In fact, we're gonna break it down a little bit further, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do with just 1 hour after work if you wanna move the needle in your online side business. So keep watching, because tip number 1 is actually a little bit polarizing and probably something you're not gonna wanna hear. So I was recently following somebody on Instagram. I followed her for a long time, and she does like home decor and, outfit of the day and that kind of thing. And one day I just kind of noticed I had not seen her stories. I hadn't even seen her show up in my feed at all. So I went to look for her account to see, is she still here, right? And what I saw was that she actually had the flu. Her and her kids had the flu, and so she hadn't really been able to post her Instagram stories or post much on Instagram at all. And I've said this before privately, but not publicly because it's kind of jarring, but if you build your business on a platform like Instagram or like a Facebook group or even a Facebook page, what happens if you get hit by a bus? Like, literally, what happens if you can't show up every day and do your outfit of the day, your swipe up to buy this and your swipe up to buy all the things and all the affiliate links? If you don't show up to do that, then your business isn't profitable. But if you build your business on long-term, long-form, searchable content, then you don't have to show up every day in order for your business to generate revenue. So if you only have 1 hour a day to spend on your side business, then tip number 1 is to spend your time creating leveraged content and creating content on searchable long-term platforms like YouTube or a blog, and not on Instagram or inside of a Facebook group. Now, don't hate me. Don't send me hate mail. I love Instagram and I participate in Facebook groups. But the minute that I'm too busy to show up or I'm sick and I can't do it, then I'd be forgotten about and my business honestly wouldn't even exist. So instead of using your 1 hour after work to just see what's going on in Instagram or researching Instagram hashtags or perusing the Facebook groups, start creating leveraged content that adds value to the world, that adds value to the audience that you're trying to attract, and do that on SEO-driven platforms like YouTube or a blog. So when I started this channel and this business, I had a full-time job. I was working as an in-house web marketing manager, basically, and I had an idea to start a blog, which kind of turned into also starting a YouTube channel. And my plan was to monetize my blog, monetize my business, start making some money, and then quit my full-time job, right? It's the entrepreneurial love story that we all want to tell for ourselves, right? But in reality, what ended up happening is my employer eliminated my position. They moved their headquarters to another state, and they broke up with me first. Now, thankfully, I had taken step after step after step toward building this business so that I could step into it full time when I left my job. And if I hadn't done that for a year and a half, if I hadn't, spent the time after work to plan out my videos, create the videos, edit videos on my laptop on the couch while the kids watch TV, then this wouldn't exist. My business wouldn't exist, because I would have had to spend my time and energy going to get another job, looking for a job, commuting to my job, and I wouldn't have been able to spend that energy building this business. So I fully support the side hustle movement, and I want to help you avoid one of the big mistakes that I see side hustlers making so that you can open up some options and opportunities for yourself while you're working a full-time job and while you're only spending about an hour a day after work on your business. And the big mistake that I'm talking about here is actually not working on the things that move the needle in your business. Like, have you ever taken a wrong turn and you go for a few miles and then you realize you're headed in the wrong direction, and it takes you twice as long to turn around and go back and get to where you wanted to be I want to help you avoid that. So I 100% believe that growing an audience organically is the first sort of step in the right direction in the world of online business to get you where you want to go, to get you closer to your goals. Now, of course, there are other ways to go about it, but I like audience building and creating a community and an atmosphere. And creating weekly content is the fastest way to grow your audience online organically. But that content creation piece is often the big hurdle that someone with a full-time job runs into that prevents them from moving forward in working on their side business. Tip number 2 is to create a weekly process for yourself for creating content so that you can stay consistent just by following the steps each week when you have a full-time job. Because without a process to follow, you will likely end up scrambling at the end of the week and trying to come up with a topic, shooting, editing all in one day, pulling an all-nighter, or at least, a late-nighter, and that's not fun. And this used to happen to me all the time when I had a full-time job until I created a process, basically a checklist that I could follow each week to make sure I was moving in the right direction to keep publishing my weekly content. And recently, I've been a little bit slack about creating videos on my YouTube channel. If you remember a couple weeks ago, I said my goal was to reach 100,000 YouTube subscribers this year. Did you guys hear me say that? Are you guys paying attention? Is that still on? So I've actually been going back to this same process that I used when I had a full-time job in order to make sure that I can stay consistent with creating my video content. So I want to walk you through the process that I use to stay consistent with my content creation, and maybe together we can keep each other accountable. So we're going to walk through this backwards. First of all, I try to publish my videos on Thursdays. There's really no rhyme or reason to that. It just happens to be, I think, the first day that I published a video was on a Thursday, so that was the schedule that I created. So keeping in mind I had a full-time job, I needed to make sure that I was breaking everything down throughout the week to get that video published, right? So in order to have a video published on Thursday, then by Wednesday night, that video needed to be ready to go. It needed to be edited. It needed to be exported. It needed to have the blog post ready to also be published, right? So in order to have all of my content ready to be edited by Tuesday, it needed to be shot by Monday. In order to have it be ready to be shot on Monday, then by Sunday, I needed to know what the heck I was creating that week. So oftentimes what I would do is have a list of ideas on my phone. At the time I used Asana. If you want to see what I use now to plan out my content calendar, I have a video on my planning workflow because now I use ClickUp. So oftentimes what I would do is on Sunday, open up my phone, see what are we publishing this week, and make sure that I knew what exactly I needed to record. And if I needed to script out my video, I would do that, or make my bullet points or whatever I needed so that when I had the time in front of the camera or at my computer to record a screencast, I knew exactly what I needed to create. So on Monday evenings, that's what I would do. I'd get out my camera, record my intro, my outro, record my screencast. I already knew what I was creating, so all I had to do was literally hit record, and then I put my camera away. I didn't do anything else. So then on Tuesday, I would take my footage, put it in my computer, start editing, do the rough draft, do the fine tuning if I could, or I'd wait till Wednesday to do that. So using this process, you can create your own checklist of what you have to do each day in order to create your videos and in order to keep moving forward. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, but Meredith, I'm new to all of this. I can't edit a video in 1 hour a day. And so if that's you, keep watching because I have a solution for you. But first, step number 3 is plan as you can. Once you have your process broken up into a checklist, into what you can accomplish in just 1 hour a day, then when you have, your lunch break or 15 minutes here or there, or when the kids aren't bugging you and they're all occupied, you can actually open up your phone and use your planning app to work on whatever your next step is. Many people think that they need to sit down and spend, 5 hours doing keyword research and figuring out all these things. For the most part, you don't have to do that for 5 hours for just one video. And if you use an app, even if it's just your notes app on your phone, you can write down your ideas as they come to you so they're not stuck in your brain. And all you have to do is look through your ideas and start planning when you can. So my advice to you is to use something like Asana, use the Notes app on your phone. You can use your Reminders app on your phone to keep track of your ideas so that you know what's going through your head and you don't have to just stare at a blank page and do 5 hours of keyword research to come up with ideas for your topics. And now in my video going over my planning workflow, I also mentioned an app called Notion, and this is where I script out my videos. It's an app for the desktop, it's an app for your phone. I'll put a link down below to that. And if you want to watch the full video on my planning workflow, I'll link to that below as well. Now, I mentioned that you might be thinking, I'm not an expert at video editing. I can't do this in 1 hour a day. I can't edit videos on my lunch break. And I totally get that. Trust me, if you're not an expert at video editing, here's the thing. You don't have to make it complicated. You can actually keep it really simple. Don't worry about a bunch of fancy transitions and titles, and honestly, don't even worry about background music. In fact, if you set up a template project like I show in my video editing workflow, it saves a ton of time, makes it really easy. You don't have to keep reinventing the wheel each time. And here's the thing, you don't even have to be the one to edit your videos. If you feel like that's just not going to happen for you, you could always outsource your video editing, which is something that I've been working on doing. And I'd love to share that process with you at some point once I figure it out. But let me know in the comments if you have questions about editing, about outsourcing to a video editor, and how all that stuff works. But that actually brings me to tip number 4, which is something that I have honestly always struggled with, and that is staying ahead of your content creation and batching. So what I'm talking about here is if you take my weekly step-by-step checklist that I just went over, and instead of spreading that out over a week, do that all over a weekend. Spend like 4 hours, create 3 to 5 videos, do the planning, do the filming, and then break up the editing process in a weekly checklist so that you're only editing a little bit at a time, keeping it all very simple so that you can stay ahead of your content creation. You're never scrambling to figure out, how am I going to find time to create a video this week? Because it's already been planned and shot. All you have to do is edit it and publish it that week. Now, like I said, this has always been hard for me to do, but I am working on improving that area of my workflow, because now that I have a video editor, I can maybe sit down and record a month's worth of YouTube videos, have her edit them, and then I can focus on other areas of my business every week instead of worrying about what I'm going to publish on YouTube. Now, tip number 5 is for after you have already created and published your weekly YouTube video, and that is to take your script and turn it into a blog post to publish on your blog. And if you don't have a blog set up to go along with your YouTube channel, I highly recommend that you do that, because it's a fantastic way to kind of hit the search engines from 2 different angles. And honestly, it's really not that hard because you already have the content, you have a script. Now, if you didn't write out an entire script to record your video, you could actually use a service like rev.com to turn your video into a transcript. It's super accurate. It's like word for word. It's really quick. It's really easy. And if you have, like a backlog of videos that you could turn into blog posts to generate more Google traffic, it's kind of a no-brainer. So I actually have a coupon for you for $10 off your first rev.com order. You can use the link down in the description below. So if you want to spend your energy creating your videos, but you still want to distribute your content to your blog and to your other social media platforms, then rev.com is really the time-saving way to do that, especially if you have a full-time job and a family. And by the way, if that is you, then let me know down in the comments what your side business is all about and how I can help you grow your audience and income online using YouTube in your side business. And don't forget, I have that video walking through my entire editing process, plus the video on my planning process. So I'll put these here for you. And don't forget to hit subscribe on the way out.